Welcome to this week's episode with the Real Talk with Doc. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, like, and turn on those post notifications. If you're finding this content to be of value to you in any way on your real estate, development, construction, renovation journey, please comment below.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Kay. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm cold, Kay. It's cold out here today. I mean, we're talking 12-degree weather. I'm not built for this.
Oh man, so what are some new updates you have for us?
Oh, we just got back from our 2025 company retreat, Massanutten Ski Resort. Shout out to Miss Missy and Miss Donna and Miss Sarah for your excellent service and making sure that we were accommodated and having everything we needed, from the great breakfast to the great lunch. Didn't do dinner there. We did dinner on the resort site. Shout out to, God, what was the name of that restaurant? But nevertheless, it was just a great time for us to get away with our leadership team, set the goals for the year, introduce OKR, objectives and key results, something the company is going to be shifting towards. As we strive to grow this company to simply deliver the elite experience to every client that we actually had the opportunity and privilege to service. And that's what the focus of the leadership retreat was. All leaders were on board. They bought in, they gave their input. We agreed that this is the path forward, and it's a beautiful time of year because today starts week one for us, a week of 52 weeks in the year. So I'm really excited about hitting the ground running with some things we have in place and keeping that momentum throughout the year to once again just make sure that we provide every client with an elite experience that we're privileged to service.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what are some residential project updates that you have for us?
Oh, we're making a lot of moves in the city of Cumberland. We're getting ready to deliver our first two new build construction homes to market. Both are about a 2,000 square foot on slab above grade, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, full open kitchen with kitchen island, open floor plan, sitting on about a quarter-acre lot, a little over a quarter acre, more so like 0.3 acres, not quite a third. And they're coming to the market at a very affordable price. They would have hit the market this Thursday, but we've had a lot of snow these last 2 weeks that have kind of prevented us from getting up there for a whole week. In one instance, we got like 8 inches of snow last week. And the guys are back up there this morning, but it is super cold, so I'm scheduled to be there tomorrow. Give you all a full update. I'll have Kay take some video footage of where the project is, the finishes that we put on the project. And the residents there are really, really excited about this new build coming to the city of Cumberland. And right after that, we're working on a 9-unit, 5 high-rise condominium building. Right now, again, super cold. We're putting the footer in. We got all the rebar in. However, it's just too cold to pour concrete. So that project has kind of been on a hold. And we're getting ready to break ground. We submitted the plans for an assisted living facility. We really want to get in that space. Just having that being near and dear to me. When my grandmother was diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's, some places we went to put her in had a 3 to 5 year waiting list, and that just broke my heart. So we ended up, giving her, long-term care in our home. But nevertheless, I think that, being in the space and just, providing an elite facility for our seniors is something that I really want to find a way to give back to, and it's something I think we can do really well. So be on the lookout for our first assisted living facility that's going to have 16 rooms, 16 beds in the city of Cumberland, Maryland. And we're looking to open the doors and have everyone carving turkey and drinking eggnog before Christmas 2025. So that's another big thing we have on the move this year, and just to continuously find great leaders to be a part of this winning team here. We're always looking for great leaders. We're always looking for great talent, and we'll continue to do that.
That's awesome. So, how has it been building in the city of Cumberland, Maryland, with these new projects as it pertains to like what you're doing? How has it been as a real estate developer in that area?
It's been great. I mean, and it's only been great because the people there are great. When you start talking about the mayor himself, who has rolled out the red carpet to make sure we have everything we need from a city council standpoint of view. So shout out to Mayor Ray. When you look at his cabinet, Jeff Sickler, and when you look at Ken Tressler, and all of these people that are in the mayor's office, Kevin Thacker, that just make the relationship, the partnership, and working with the city of Cumberland and completing our infill agreement with this government entity has just been phenomenal. And I cannot say enough about those four guys in terms of just the support, the guidance, making sure we are in alignment with their vision to build Cumberland strong. And it's just been a tremendous, wonderful experience because we're working with tremendous, wonderful people.
That's awesome. So let's get into it. Government contracting. I'm sure those who are in real estate want to know, how is that experience, and what are some things that you would suggest to come in prepared to do?
Having tenacity and fortitude to just get through the minutia of the paperwork. There is just a voluminous amount of paperwork, and making sure that your business is in order, making sure that things that you're going to need, like a clean hand certificate, by making sure that your tax filings are correct, by making sure that all your corporate documents are up to date and in good standing. A lot of times those create roadblocks for individuals, and it can be a bit discouraging. So I say just always make sure that everything that relates to your business entities, as far as corporate documents, taxes being the two key most important things, are always up to date and always on point and correct, because that will be the first thing that knock you out being in a position where you can bid on government contracts.
That's awesome. Are there any differences with working with government contracts versus building a home for any other client who's looking?
Oh, absolutely. Big differences. This just goes back to making sure the infrastructure of your business is tight. Like, you're not just going to show up on a government contract at 11 o'clock. Like, I see some subcontractors, we have to get on about just showing up to our sites anytime they feel like it. Like, there are very specific windows in some instances where you have to be there at a specific time. There are certain instances where your staff has to pass security clearances based on the project that you're working on. There are some instances where you get little to no guidance to the people in the field. Like, your team really got to understand from day one what the scope of the project is and what you're expected to execute and in what time frame. I mean, the government don't play. They'll award you liquidated damages if you don't meet deadlines. Unlike in the residential commercial world, where you can talk to people, kind of explain to them what's going on. The government don't want to hear any of that, right? So it's just a different ball game. It's a great ball game because it also holds us accountable to making sure that we have a successful system that everyone in the company is executing at all times. But yeah, there's definitely significant differences in working with the government versus working with the general public or working with the business owners on the residential and commercial construction side.
Okay. So when it comes to government contracting, what key positions should you have filled for projects like this, like on your team? Construction workers.
Yeah, one of the most important positions that I highly recommend everyone have, even before you bid on the government contract, is an excellent procurement process. And the reason being is that a lot of times government contracts are looking for best price. And we have lost a number of government contracts because we haven't had the lowest price, right? And that can get you in trouble, because if you underbid the project and you cannot perform that project at that price, again, you can be deemed and fined to be out of compliance with what you signed up for that contract, and the government can fine you, and more importantly, your business could be toast. You wouldn't get another government contract because that actually goes in your record for performance. So one of the most important things, that if you as the owner are not doing the takeoff, the procurement, knowing what your manpower and labor power is going to cost you to execute this job, and knowing what profit margins and what profit percentages spreads you need on that government contract, you need to have someone who's really strong in that area to make sure that you're not only bidding the contract with the best price, but we're all in business to make money. We're all in business. I mean, the profits that we make, that's how we pay our salaries, and that's how we pay, for growth of the company, and investing in equipment and machinery and company vehicles and all of these things. I mean, everybody's in business to make what is called a profit. And if you're not turning a profit, and if you're paying your contracts back, meaning you're losing money and the contract has to get completed, that difference, that negative profit has to come somewhere from one of your reserves. And you do that too many times, you're out of business. And you're going to be out of business. That's just how that math plays out. There's no way around that. So, it's important to just understand that that procurement process and bidding the contract right from the start is probably the most important position that anyone can have in the company. If you yourself, as the prime contractor, or the general contractor that will be the sub to a prime contractor are not doing, you need to really have someone who does that very well and that you can trust.
Okay. So, what would be two other positions to make it top three positions to really focus on when taking on a government contract?
You're going to need a strong site superintendent and a strong project manager. You got those three positions, whether you're the prime or whether you're the GC subcontractor subbing the work from a prime. Those are the key positions that every contract needs. My professional expertise.
That's awesome. So, with the government contracts going into it, should you be prepared financially to be able to upfront the costs? Like,
Oh yeah, man. Let me make sure I don't get any trouble saying this, especially with the inauguration of the 47th president taking place just yesterday, so you'll know exactly when we shot this. Yeah, I mean, yes, there's a government contract that we went back and forth because it was a design build. So we had to get architectural drawings, we had to bring in engineers, structural engineers, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, civil engineers, right here in Washington, D.C. I'll just leave it at that because I shouldn't be talking about what government contracts we worked on. But nevertheless, if you want to have an offline conversation, if there's anything we can do to help you to make sure that you really understand the gravity of how important it is to have a cash reserve aside, we worked on this government contract for 2 years before we actually stepped foot on the site so that we can begin construction and even make any money on the job. That was 2 years of having to pay my site superintendents. That was 2 years of having to pay my foreman. That was 2 years of having to pay myself. That was 2 years of having to pay, sometimes we would have to have our in-house electrician to go out there and just really look at the electrical setup to give us an idea of what we're putting in the drawings to, work directly with the MEP engineer. That was 2 years of getting zero pay. And those people still had to be paid before we actually started construction on the contract. And then here's the other kicker. No different than taking, traditional commercial bank money. The banks are not going to let you get ahead of the money. And what I mean by that is you have to perform the work, provide the materials, pay for the labor, show the bank, and I don't blame them. I agree with this. Show the bank that the work has been done, the labor has been paid for, and then the bank reimbursed you. The government pretty much uses that same model. So, sometimes if you got a multi-million-dollar contract, that first draw, you may need to have $250,000 in reserve just to get reimbursed back from the government. That's the difference in working with the government versus, when you're working with the general public, you can kind of broker these deals like, hey, we've done this much in schematics and in our contract, we need to structure this way. Let's be fair about this. Let's make this work. Everybody sign if you're good. It doesn't work like that with the government. Like the contract is a contract. There is no negotiating with, an individual person per se. You have a contracting officer, but that stuff is already preset. And they do that to keep it consistent. So you just gotta, go with what the contract says, how it's structured, the pay cycle, all of those things are already predefined where there is no negotiating in that. And if, if that doesn't work for you, be honest with yourself up front. Don't just jump in a contract, bid it super low, and then you can't perform it. We see a lot of people do that, and you really, really get burned by that, and you won't get another government contract because they track that stuff.
that's good information. So, switching gears, when we get to residential construction, what are some things that you would advise construction companies or real estate developers to consider before taking on a project? You talked about building a condominium. Like, how did you even get to that point?
So CCE for our company, we focus on culture, we focus on the client elite experience, and we focus on excellence in everything that we do. That is the ethos that's like just constantly shaping our culture. And to answer your question specifically, you got to have a group of people who come to work and they know what excellence look like, because it's very competitive out here. So we do a lot of training in the office, in the field with our construction crew. It gives us an advantage to employ our own labor force. At any given time, we can have 40 plus construction workers on our payroll. And in controlling that, our construction workers know that we have a system, we have rules, we have policies. We let them know what that is day one so they can implement, plug in, and execute at a high level with excellence. So we have a model, needless to say, and we have a model of what excellence looks like in terms of us delivering a construction project to any client. And in that model, everyone understands the system, everyone knows their role and responsibility in the system, everyone is evaluated on a weekly basis on what the execution of their specific individual roles, how that impact the overall delivery of the services that we have for our clients, and making sure that they have an elite experience. All of that is defined and all of that is laid out so that everybody can be on the same page. And I think that's very, 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 very important. And I think that has really contributed, that has been the major contributing factor to us having, a perfect 5-star rating review on the internet. I'm just very passionate about that as a leader of the company. My leaders are passionate about that as a leader of the, construction team that they lead, the management team that they lead. And when everybody is on the same page, because you, the leader, you, the general contractor, you, the owner of the company, has set precedence for that and what that looks like, and you've trained everybody on that, then you're really going to have a process, a system, an experience where clients really, really are happy with your services and the delivery of their construction.
Okay. So what are some key things you should look for before taking on a new real estate development project? Whether it be purchasing land, whether it be how much you're going to build, like what are some things that people should consider?
It's just all about what you're equipped to do. I tell people always reach for the stars, and if you land on the moon, that's still not bad. Be ambitious, be calculated, right? Calculated means make sure you have a solid performer. You've considered every expense, you've considered every liability, and more importantly, make sure you have a team that can execute the work in a timely manner, because even once you get the project and you're not using your money and using hard money or using commercial money, you still have a time frame in which you need to complete that project. And when you go beyond that time frame, you got to pay penalty interest until the completion of that project. All of that just takes away from your profits, like we talked about earlier. So just make sure, again, you know the numbers on the project, you have the infrastructure and system to execute that project, and then once you have the system and infrastructure to execute that project, just do it well. Make sure you do it on budget and you do it on schedule, and that's your winning formula right there. You get that down pat, you'll be very successful in this space, which I love to see for anybody in this space.
That's good. So also, what about real estate investments and partnerships? Like, what are some things that you would suggest to look for with that?
For real estate development partnerships are very powerful, and they're powerful because you get to leverage people who get to leverage you, and you get to do more. It gives you scalability. It increases your capacity, right? If I can partner on a project with 2 partners across 2 different projects, that means I now have a partner who's bringing something of equal value in this project, and I have another project over here who's bringing something of equal value. And then the projects that I have, I can focus on here. I have now leveraged 2 partners to take on an additional 2 partners, as opposed to me being the sole person in that doing all the work, all the lifting, and not having anyone to kind of have the same vested interest in that project, who's going to bring the same level of dedication and commitment, because we're all affected in the same way. I love development partnerships because they have proven to be great partnerships. Most importantly, make sure you partner with the right partner. But when you partner with the right partner, it's a beautiful relationship. I highly, highly, highly encourage that and recommend that for anybody who's thinking about doing a partnership or not doing a partnership.
So, what are 3 things that you should look for in a good partnership?
First thing I look for is their past performance. Like, do they have the experience to do what we're getting ready to do, and how much experience do they have. That's the first thing. The second thing I look for, what are their strengths? Because I want to tap into their strengths, and that's one thing less I know I have to worry about in this particular partnership, and I'll let them swim strong in that lane. And the third thing that I look at is the equity that they're bringing to the deal. If all three of those things are equal, then the partnership is 50-50. If there's some variances in those three things, then the equity split needs to be adjusted because of those variances. So when you look at those three things, for me, those are the three key things that make for a great partner in the making.
That's awesome. So with all this good information, is there anything we should be looking out for from Doc?
Yeah, so Kay, live in effect, she'll be getting ready to make a calendar for different podcasts, any webinars, anything that we will be doing so that we can have more live interaction with our audience. I mean, first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank y'all for all the love that you show us on TikTok, all the comments that y'all DM me with. Thank you for that. And then more importantly, the questions that y'all actually take advantage of us being on this platform asking. I mean, no question is a dumb question when it comes to construction. And I get a lot of questions from you guys, so I want to encourage that you continue to send those questions. It just takes me literally, I time block an hour every day. It just takes me 1 hour. And within 1 hour, I can respond to most of my messages and emails that I get on a daily basis. So continue to send that, because I sincerely am here to make sure that anything I can do to add to your success, that's how I give back to the universe, because it always comes back tenfold. And I don't do it for it to come back tenfold. I do it because I love this stuff and I want to see you succeed. So Kay will get us a schedule. The next time we do our next shoot, we'll have some specific dates for you. We're also going to be talking to Kay today about having a landing page on our website that will always have our upcoming events. So you can go directly to our website, www.teabowresidential, T-E-A, spelled like that, Teabow, teabowresidential.com, and you can see the upcoming events that we're going to have. I've also been asked to get back to what we used to do a lot of, but I've just been slam busy and just having in-person seminars, just going through what a performer looks like, going through how do we analyze a deal with our patented deal analyzer that we use here in the company. So all of that's going to be on our website, so we can make sure that we're locked in step with our followers, we're locked in step with the people that we can provide great services for in your quest in real estate development. All of that stuff is going to be coming to you very soon.
All right, so in landing this plane, what are some words of wisdom?
Wow, so godly. She loved ending with words of wisdom. What's on my heart and mind today? We just got finished adopting something called OKRs with John Doerr. And one thing about OKRs, objectives and key results, using initiatives to make sure that these key results are indicators that we are hitting our mark. We have a goal, and our goal is simple. Our mission is simple, is to provide an elite experience for every client that we provide services and products for. And the question was, how do we get there? And the first thing that came out in that retreat is that we need to understand who we are as a company. And in understanding who we are as a company, how do we define who the leaders are? So we've adopted the Amazon leadership principles. There's 16 of them. They're really, really good principles. When you look at Andy Jassy, who's now the CEO of Amazon, there are actually video clips out there that just talks about the attributes and characteristics of what makes a good leader. And so often we're in this space, whether you're a developer, whether you're a real estate agent, a real estate broker, you flip houses, there's an element of leadership in that, because you're the quarterback across so many different plays in terms of dealing with the vendors, dealing with the subcontractors, dealing with the clients, dealing with the government. And we just really don't focus on the importance of leadership. And if I may say to you, I think it's the responsibility, and I challenge you that anyone who's in any of those positions, you should be developing your leadership skills, your leadership characteristics. And the first and easiest way to do that is to read at least one leadership book per month. I attempt to read one per week, but I'm going to say just read one per month. And if you're reading one leadership book per month, what it's going to start to do is going to start to shape your mindset. It's going to put you in a different mindset. It's going to give you a different lens for leadership. So therefore, when you think differently, you're going to act differently. And when you act differently, you're going to get different results. And as you get better results, more successful results, it simply elevates you to different levels. And as I land this plane, Kay, one thing I tell my leadership team in this company, you either going to level up or you going to level out. And I want to see you level up. So with that being said and done, go out there, crush it. We'll see you at our next build construction site.